The ocean doesn't lie. It doesn't negotiate. And at 6:42 on a Tuesday morning, it told Venezuela something they never wanted to hear. They'd been watched for hours, and they never knew it. 2 miles off their patrol line, the Caribbean Sea suddenly erupted. Not from a storm, not from a whale, from something far more terrifying. 30 feet of seawater exploded skyward as 7,800 tons of Black American steel punched through the surface like a nightmare clawing its way from the abyss. No warning, no radio call, no distress signal. Just raw, silent power rising from nowhere. On the bridge of the Venezuelan patrol vessel Guaycapiro, every screen went from calm blue to blood red in half a second. The sonar operator's coffee cup hit the floor. His hands froze over the controls. The captain stared through the bridge windows, his throat suddenly dry, because what he saw wasn't supposed to be there. A Virginia-class attack submarine, one of the most lethal machines ever built, sitting less than 2 nautical miles away, in their backyard, watching them. And they hadn't detected a thing until it decided to show itself. This is the story of what happened next. A story about power, posture, and the razor-thin line between surveillance and provocation. And by the end, you'll understand why this $3 billion machine surfacing off Venezuela wasn't an accident. It was a message written in steel. The moment everything changed. Let me paint you the picture. The Guaycapiro is no toy boat. She's a serious patrol vessel, built with Italian systems, powered by engines that can push her to 24 knots, and crewed by sailors trained in Soviet-era doctrine. Her job? Patrol Venezuela's northern coast, monitor the Bolivarian security zone, and make sure foreign vessels respect the line. It was supposed to be a routine morning. 14 knots, steady course, clear skies. The kind of patrol where the biggest concern is whether lunch will be fish or chicken. 20 nautical miles off Port de la Cruz, the crew was scanning for fishing vessels and smugglers, the usual suspects in these waters. Then, the ocean broke open. "Sir, we've got displacement at 086, large contact, rapid ascent." The sonar operator's voice cracked, not from fear, but from disbelief, because the signature on his screen wasn't possible. Nothing that size should be able to rise that fast without warning. But there it was, climbing from the deep at an angle that defied every instinct the crew had about how the ocean worked. The captain lunged forward, gripping the console. "General quarters, all stations, track and log, move!" Alarms shrieked, boots pounded across metal decks. Sailors sprinted to battle stations they drilled for 100 times, but never thought they'd actually need. The ship pivoted starboard, engines roaring to life, cutting a hard turn to maintain a safe intercept angle. And then they saw it. Through the spray and the glare, the sail of the submarine rose like a monolith, water cascading off its black hull in sheets. Sleek, massive, impossibly silent. The kind of machine that looked like it belonged in a science fiction film, not 2 miles from their bow. "Distance 1.9 nautical miles, the navigator called out, his voice tight. The captain exhaled slowly, forcing his hands to steady. "Keep recording. No transmissions yet." Every sailor on that bridge knew what they were looking at. A Virginia-class fast attack submarine. Nuclear-powered, nearly invisible, armed with Tomahawk cruise missiles and Mark 48s that can sink anything afloat. And its acoustic signature? So quiet that hostile submarines have passed within 1,000 yards and never knew it was there. This isn't a vessel you stumble across. This is a vessel that reveals itself only when it wants to send a message. And this morning, off the coast of Venezuela, that message was crystal clear. We've been here the whole time. You just didn't know it. The standoff began. By 6:47, the situation had crystallized into something far more dangerous than a simple encounter. The submarine hadn't moved, not an inch. It sat there, half submerged, its command sail pointing directly at the Venezuelan patrol ship like the barrel of a gun. Aboard the Guaycapiro, the tension was suffocating. The bridge crew moved like they were walking on eggshells, every officer's eyes flicking between the tactical displays and the dark shape sitting on the horizon. "Range 1.6 nautical miles," the navigator reported, his voice barely above a whisper. The captain's jaw tightened. "Maintain course, 15 knots. Keep her on visual." Down in the Combat Information Center, the sonar operator was listening so hard his head hurt. He adjusted gain settings, filtered out background noise, searched for any sign of movement from the American boat. Nothing. No cavitation, no propeller wash, no engine vibration. Whoever was commanding that submarine was a professional, and they were playing this game at a level the Venezuelan crew couldn't match. Then it happened. One clean, tight sonar pulse. A ping so perfect it could only be deliberate. Not aggressive, but unmistakable. The submarine was announcing itself, reminding everyone listening that it controlled this piece of ocean. The captain felt his chest tighten. He keyed his radio, his voice flat and professional. "All stations, maintain readiness. Weapons remain cold. We do not escalate." On deck, 50 caliber gunners stood by their mounts. They weren't aiming, they weren't threatening, but their presence was noted. Every camera on the Guaycapiro was rolling, every sensor recording, because both sides knew the truth. Modern naval warfare isn't about who fires first, it's about who has the better evidence when the lawyers get involved. Up on the American submarine, the crew moved with clockwork precision. Cameras captured every angle of the Venezuelan vessel. Acoustic sensors logged every transmission. Electronic warfare systems recorded every radar emission. The submarine wasn't just watching, it was dissecting, analyzing, learning everything there was to know about Venezuela's patrol capabilities. This was intelligence gathering disguised as posture, and it was brutally effective. The turn that changed everything. At 6:57, the game shifted into something far more dangerous. The submarine rolled. Just 10 degrees to port, nothing dramatic, nothing that would make headlines, but in the language of naval warfare, it was a sentence, a paragraph, a threat delivered in steel. "Sir, she's turning towards us," the watch officer said quietly, urgency creeping into his voice. The captain's eyes locked on the bearing indicator. 084, now 083. The submarine was rotating, aligning its bow, painting them not with radar, but with geometry. In naval combat, when a warship points its nose at you, it's not an accident, it's a statement. The captain made his decision in 2 seconds. "Come to port, match your angle, 15 knots, keep separation at 1 mile. The Guaycapiro slid laterally across the submarine's beam, a parallel course adjustment that communicated one simple message: "We see you. We're not backing down." Inside the submarine, the U.S. commander watched through high-definition optics. Every move the Venezuelan ship made was being recorded, every tactical decision logged, every response time measured. They weren't provoking, they were studying, learning, building a profile of how Venezuela reacts under pressure. Because that's what this was really about. Not territory, not threats, information. "CPA 1.0 nautical miles," the XO called from the bridge console. The captain didn't blink. Steady. For 3 full minutes, the two vessels held position, locked in a silent duel where neither side could afford to flinch. The Caribbean sun climbed higher, glinting off the submarine's wet hull. The ocean rolled between them, indifferent to the tension crackling across its surface. Then, without ceremony, the submarine tilted forward. Its nose dipped. Bubbles rolled off the hull like smoke. White foam collapsed in churning spirals. The sail began to sink, swallowed by the sea that had birthed it just minutes before. In 20 seconds, it was gone. The radar showed a faint trace for 3 heartbeats, then nothing. The sonar display faded to clean blue. The ocean closed over the submarine as if it had never existed, erasing 7,000 tons of American power like a magic trick performed by physics itself.
The aftermath. At 7:03, the Guaycapiro was alone again, but nothing felt the same. "Mark down last known coordinates," the captain ordered, his voice carefully neutral. "Save all logs, everything." For another 10 minutes, the Venezuelan ship swept the area, sensors straining to reacquire contact. Nothing. The submarine had vanished into the deep, sliding back into the silence that made Virginia-class boats the most feared hunters in the ocean. 200 feet below the surface, the American crew moved with practiced efficiency. Acoustic sensors confirmed no pursuit. The mission log noted the encounter, the Venezuela response times, and tactical decisions. Every byte of data was encrypted and transmitted through a narrow-band buoy line to U.S. Southern Command in Florida. Up on Guaycacuro's deck, sailors began to breathe again, slowly, carefully, not quite trusting the calm. The captain stood at the bridge window, staring at the empty ocean where a $3 billion war machine had been sitting just minutes before. He knew what this was. Not an accident, not a navigation error, a demonstration, a reminder of who controlled these waters when the chips were down. Why this matters? To understand what just happened, you need to zoom out beyond the radar screen and look at the bigger picture. For months, the U.S. Navy has been running Operation Sentinel South, a maritime security mission targeting drug trafficking and arms smuggling routes that snake through the Caribbean. These routes often thread through international waters that Venezuela considers part of its extended Bolivian security zone. It's legal gray space. The United States calls it freedom of navigation. Venezuela calls it provocation. And that's where encounters like this morning's submarine surfacing happen, quietly, frequently, and always choreographed down to the nautical mile. The submarine's appearance wasn't random, it was strategic. It was a message that said, we can operate anywhere, anytime. You'll never see us coming, and you'll only know we're here when we decide to tell you. Virginia-class submarines specialize in this type of operation. They can stay submerged for months, track surface vessels without detection, and collect intelligence that would take spy satellites weeks to gather. When they surface near a patrol zone, it's not because they're in trouble. It's because they've already seen everything they needed to see. For Venezuela, that's the nightmare scenario. Their Navy relies on limited sonar coverage and coastal surveillance designed for drug runners, not nuclear submarines. When an American boat rises within visual range, it's not just presence, it's proof that they've been blind. Both nations understand the stakes. Neither wants an incident, but both need to show sprint. For Washington, it's law enforcement and freedom of navigation. For Caracas, it's sovereignty and national pride. And between them lies an invisible line in the ocean, one wave away from a diplomatic crisis that could reshape the entire Caribbean. The real question. So here's what I want to know. If you were commanding that Venezuelan patrol ship, if you saw 7,000 tons of American steel rise from the deep less than 2 miles away, what would you do? Would you hold your course and stand your ground, showing that your nation won't be intimidated in its own backyard? Or would you back off, recognizing that some fights can't be won with courage alone? It's an impossible decision, and that's exactly the point. The submarine surfaced to put Venezuela in a position where every choice felt wrong. Hold position, you risk escalation. Turn away, you show weakness. That's the genius of gray zone operations. They don't win through force. They win through pressure, through presence, through the psychological weight of knowing you're outmatched. This morning, off the coast of Venezuela, the United States delivered a masterclass in naval intimidation. No shots fired, no laws broken, just $3 billion of silent power rising from the deep to remind everyone watching who owns the ocean when it matters. The Venezuelan crew will remember this encounter for the rest of their careers. They'll tell the story in bars and briefing rooms, embellishing details, aiding decisions. For the U.S. Navy, it's just Tuesday. Another patrol, another silent lesson delivered in steel. Because control of the sea doesn't win through noise, it wins through presence. This morning, presence belonged to the United States. Drop your answer in the comments. If you were that Venezuelan captain, what would you have done? I read every single comment, and And I want to hear how you'd handle being stared down by $3 billion of American naval power. If you found this breakdown fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next real-world naval encounter. And if you want to support the channel directly and help us bring more true maritime stories to the surface, click join below. You'll get loyalty badges, priority responses, and you'll become a part of the fleet that makes these deep dives possible. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp out there.